Welcome to We're People First, the Jeff Moyer Show.
All right. We are on.
We just had a little dog emergency with little dogs, actually.
Dogs rule in our house.
Well, hello, everybody.
Well, welcome, everybody. We are so excited that you're here today. We're so grateful that you're here today. And my gosh, we had over 4,000 views last show. So that makes us very happy. Welcome back. And we have a great show today. But first of all, I want to say a couple things. Fall came yesterday. And so we're now in fall. But I want to explain why we have outfits with orange in them. Because September 30th, which we're not going to be seeing you until after that, is Orange Shirt Day in Canada. Now, as you know, if you've been watching the shows, I've been following stories about the lost children. And Canada has designated that day because one of the girls, when she was 6 years old...
That is children lost after they went to the residential schools for Native Americans.
So she was sent to the residential school when she was 6. She's a survivor. I believe she's in her 60s now. But her grandmother bought her this beautiful orange shirt to wear to the school. And of course, when the indigenous children got to the school, they were stripped of everything that they had on. Their hair was cut. And she said she never saw that orange shirt again. So she was really sad about that, of course. So now it's a dedicated day. So we are wearing some orange.
In honor of the lost children. Yeah. I want to do a song before we do much else because my technology is going to time out. Otherwise.
Oh, okay. You want to do that before the...
Yeah.
I have a surprise for you.
Well, it's got to wait.
Okay.
It's got to wait. Okay. This show is about audio description, and we're going to show you how audio description makes art come alive for people with visual disabilities. This is a song I wrote 30 years ago for the World Congress on the Arts and Medicine. Give us art.
In this world so quickly moving, faster still it seems to spin, with so many global changes, spilling, tumbling, crashing in. The hunger and the homeless, and the homes within the sky, we haven't stopped the terror, though we struggle and we try. I know no limitation when I'm free with my heart. The world regains its wonder with an emphasis on art. Give us art, the shining beacon that in darkness leads the way. Give us art to last forever. Give us art for every day. That all may live as artists, mind to mind and heart to heart, living with an emphasis on art. There is art in people reaching out to help soul unknown. There is art in selfless giving, so we all may know a home. Art in lovers humming, and in old folks holding hands. Art in children sharing the artistry of colored crafts. The genius of the masters and inspired simpler parts. I live my life in balance with an emphasis on art. emphasis on art. It's there I find what's true. It's a masterpiece revealing love in me and you. Give us art, the shining beacon, that in darkness leads the way.
Give us art to last forever.
Give us art for every day. We all may live as artists,
Mind to mind and heart to heart.
living with an emphasis on art. Living with an emphasis on art.
An emphasis on art. And you said you had a surprise?
I do have a surprise for you. Yes.
What is that?
Can you fix your little knobs there?
Yeah.
Well, it is the big reveal. Are you ready for the big reveal?
If I couldn't get any readier, I don't know what to do.
Okay. As you know, I was up for my new pair of glasses.
Right.
And you know how I'm sensitive to light, and you've talked to me about your lenses.
Yeah.
So I want to show you, or actually I have to tell you, my new glasses. They have the same lens color as yours. Now,
Well, put them on. See
I
what you
am
think.
going to put them on. Now, what I have to confess, I did wear them one day so I'd get some feedback from people,
Yeah.
and everybody that saw them loved them.
Loved them, yeah.
You know, it's the fashion these days to have great big lenses so you can feel how big these are.
Oh, and they got your bling, I see.
And
Yeah.
I've got some bling on the top, and bling, so I've got my bling. But when I put them on, my eyes just relax. It's a wonderful feeling.
Well, you know, red lenses, it's not just Christy and me. Red lenses provide visual comfort and greater color enhancement and reduction in glare sensitivity. They're overall a great thing. Even for driving, you can drive for a longer period with your eyes in a totally relaxed state. So we recommend that people check out getting red lenses.
So now they examine my eyes, and I've got very healthy eyes, except I've got a little cataract starting, and this is supposed to help that.
I was going to say that these are very effective for pre-cataract.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy. Now I do have to get them adjusted a little bit. They're still a little loose on me because, you know, with COVID, they send them through the mail to you after you've got your exam and you choose your frames and all that. Then they send them through the mail to you.
Right.
So I have to go in and have them adjusted. Other than that, I'm good to go.
Good, honey. I'm really glad you got red, and now we match.
I know. It's awesome.
Okay. Well, let's get on to the details of this segment of the show. What
Tell
else
us
do we need to
about
say?
tell us about the theme.
Well, today's theme is making the visual world become real to those who don't have access to it. And that is...
Your mic needs to be closer.
My mic needs to be
Or
closer.
something.
Well, I'm about as close as I can get to it. Let me see if I can change...
Do
How
your
about
knobs.
that? Is that better?
Now you're good.
Okay, good. Anyway, this show is about audio description, which is the method through which the visual world becomes real for people who can't see it. Remarkable technology in many guises. And we'll get into the details through our fabulous guest, Joel Snyder, through the reading that I will do in the third segment, and even through Music Corner. So that's what the show is going to be about. Is this week we're focusing on making the visual become real for those who can't see it.
Oh, that is great. I know you enjoy, we have that one channel on our television that's got audio description.
Yeah.
And that's always great for you to watch. It's wonderful.
And I'm going to talk about what the rules are concerning network television. It's shocking, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know there were rules.
I'll tell you about that. Well, of course. I have a reveal for you, too.
Oh, a reveal for me, too.
Nothing like yours, but it's a little one.
Maybe Joel will have some reveals for us, too.
I think Joel's going to have a lot to share with us when he comes rolling in.
Yes. Well, it's, let's see. Now, I want to make sure we've covered everything for this first part. So we talked about my list here. We had some very nice comments about last show. The John and Mike Gravitt.
Yeah.
And so, do you want to share some of those? I know somebody said.
Oh, we had several people say they really enjoyed Jonna's rendition of the ADA anthem, and I always enjoy. It's such a prideful moment when you hear other people sing songs that you've written, and Jonna did such a great job with that. She sang for her church on a Sunday that they had set aside for consciousness about disability. So yeah.
Great. And then I think the timing was good for that show too, because there's a month coming up now that's going to be dedicated, right, to
October is Employment and Disability Month. And boy, do we have a guest for our next show. We'll tell you about that. They actually came to us.
Yeah, so I think we're just getting better and better all the time. Okay, so I think you need to tell us a little bit about our guest today.
Well, I will tell you about the guest, and then we will do the little musical segue, and then Joel will magically appear. Dr. Joel Snyder is the Grand Master of Audio Description. I'll talk a little bit about its history, which goes back to the 60s. But Joel Snyder is the man who has done most to make audio description happen. And it's going to be a great interview. Joel has a background in theater. He has a voice that has done many voiceovers, and he's really a talented man concerning everything concerning the human voice. So in just a moment, we're going to hear from the man himself. Here we go for the interlude now.
Guest interview.
And I see Joel is on screen now.
It's true.
Dr. Snyder, how are you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Doing well. I'm great. I'm with my buddy Jeff.
You know, Joel and I met, I don't know how many years ago it was. It was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's right.
In Cleveland, there was a congress that we were both attending on the arts and disability. And who came walking up to me, the lonely blind guy standing there by himself?
That's right.
But Joel. And we struck up a friendship that has never gapped. So, Joel, tell us.
Several decades now.
It's been at least several decades.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was in the maybe early 90s even.
Something like that.
Tell us about what it was that attracted you to audio description.
Oh, golly. Well, as you mentioned, Jeff, my life has been focused around theater and media. And, in my early 70s, in undergraduate school, I just happened to be thinking about ways to use my voice beyond just, look at me, I'm on stage type thing. But I began reading books to blind students. I began reading talking books for the Library of Congress, and
Wow.
I began reading for the Metropolitan Washington Ear, in the Washington D.C. area, a radio reading
Radio
service.
reading service, sure.
Makes newspapers available, and my assignment was the Sunday Washington Post.
Wow.
Now, be honest. What's the first thing you turn to when you get your Sunday paper, right? The comics, of course. I wasn't sure you were going to be honest, so I jumped in.
I
The
don't get a
comics.
Sunday paper, so
There
I
you go. Well, and so I'm reading the Washington Post on the radio and getting to the comics. Of course, you read the text, but comics are visual things.
This
They're
is
wonderful
interesting.
visual images. So I realized, well, I've got to describe these images. And of course, throughout the paper, there are photographs, there are graphics and such. But we had never talked about description per se. We just sort of did it off the cuff. There was no formal audio description at
Yeah.
that point. But in 1980, Dr. Margaret Fansteel, who was the founder of the Ear, a blind woman, along with a blind guy, Chet Avery, both of them on a
Yeah,
committee.
sure.
Sure, and on a committee at Arena Stage, and they had just installed assisted listening. This was all new, 1980, and how impressive, how wonderful. Margaret and Chet thought, well, that's great. What do you got for us? If assisted listening is really based on a microphone on stage,
Yeah.
couldn't someone hold a microphone off stage and just provide a little bit of description in the pauses between bits and pieces of dialogue or critical sound elements?
Yeah.
And audio description was born. She came back to the studio and got me together with about 3 others who had a background with I'd been teaching English and that sort of thing. And we just hammered this thing out. And that was by 1981 when we did, I think the first production at Arena was Major Barbara with audio description. And then a few years later, the good folks at WGBH, Dr. Barry Cronin, heard about us and asked us to do a pilot of description for television. Went really wonderfully. I wrote and voiced 3 of the first American Playhouse productions
Oh,
with
wow.
with description, and that became WGBH's Descriptive Video Service (DVS), which was really the first full-time description service for broadcast television.
My gosh.
Yeah, public broadcasting. So that's how I kind of, and throughout all that time, I've been doing theater and doing media. Worked for running a theater. I worked for the National Endowment for the Arts for 20 years. But ever since, I guess it's been about 2002, I've been doing description full time through my own company or at the National Captioning Institute and all around the world, actually. So it's been a great ride.
Yeah, reading the number of countries you've worked in, it's what, 54 or something?
63 countries, I think. I counted them up not long ago,
Amazing.
where I've either produced description or spoken on description or actually trained describers. So yeah, it's been wonderful.
Well, so you have your own company and you do train describers and you also have a book. Do you have a copy of that?
I do. Oh, funny you should mention.
Funny,
Look at there. The Visual Made Verbal, that's right. Published, by the way, by the American Council of the Blind. And I have to mention ACB. They about 12 years ago with them, I founded the Audio Description Project, which is just the go-to place for information about description. The website, I'll do a quick plug, https://adp.acb.org. You can find out what's on television right now with description, what movies, what museums per state, what performing arts spaces. And then we have all kinds of programs. We do audio description training. We have a program with blind kids where they write reviews of described material, and we give prizes to the kids and their teachers. Awards, all kinds of.
Now, for those who don't know, Joel, we should say that there are 2 major consumer blindness organizations on visual disability: American Council of the Blind and the National Federation of the Blind. So your collaboration with ACB puts really ACB on the front line of accessibility. I'm
But
not.
certainly with absolutely in many ways, and audio description is a big one for
Yeah, I'm not.
ACB.
I'm not taking. I'm not taking choosing sides.
Yeah, that's right.
But clearly, ACB is forward leaning when it comes to these kinds of things, and I really commend you for collaborating with our friends at ACB.
Oh, you bet. You bet. Well,
Yeah.
they've been taking the lead even before the audio description project came together. They were taking the lead. They were, instrumental in. You mentioned a little bit ago about legislation and such. ACB was really a driving force in establishing guidelines, rules by the FCC
Yeah.
governing audio description, and then ultimately pushing for legislation, the 21st Century Communications and Video Accessibility
Yeah, I'll
Act.
be talking about that.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
that was under President Obama signed that in 2010.
although again, I'll cover the details, but sadly lacking in terms of coverage.
Oh,
But
no
that's
question.
yeah.
And we're working on that. We're hopeful that with this new administration, we'll have a CVAA 2.0 that will really broaden the availability of
That's what's needed.
description.
Absolutely, Joel.
That's what we had for captioning. Captioning is 40, 50 years old, and the legislation requiring captioning actually had a provision for the percentage of programs being captioned increased every year. We need that for description.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, we do have the disadvantage of captioning with today's voice recognition technology.
Sure.
Can really be done technologically with some editing, whereas audio description requires the human perception of how do I describe that?
Exactly.
And
I think very much so. There are some folks out there that are experimenting with text-to-speech technology, replacing the human voice with a computerized, a synthesized voice, and I'm not in favor of that. I think there are nuances and subtleties
yeah,
that
absolutely. Yeah.
a trained audio description voice talent can provide that I just haven't heard that happen technologically.
Well, I will say that I've been involved with synthetic speech technology from the beginning. An earlier show
Sure.
covered how I was the pioneer on synthetic speech singing, enabling people
Ah,
voices
sure.
weren't understandable to sing through programs
Sure.
that would be downloaded into their augmentative communication devices. But nonetheless, it has its limitations. And you're right.
Yeah.
The intelligence, the nuance, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Well, Joel, you've done so much, and you've been the voice in so many different productions. We're going to show just a little fun piece that happened on I've heard of this event. It's called the
What is it called?
Super
Super something? Yeah, it's a super something, isn't it?
Super Lunch. No, super.
Super soap?
I eat
No.
my lunch out of a bowl. Super
Bowl, that's it.
that little football thing they do. So why don't we take a look at what was aired nationally, and the world heard your voice on this Budweiser commercial. Let's listen to it.
A man leads a horse from its stall. A yellow puppy pokes its head up amid a pile of straw and scampers to the horse. The pup trots away but looks back. The horse looks toward the pup.
When I wake up,
The pup runs to a horse trailer and jumps in as its door closes.
be the man.
The pup sneaks out of the trailer onto city streets. The man distributes flyers. Lost dog. The pup cowers in a box as it storms. The man rests his head by the horse. The pup scurries in a muddy field down a hill past a broad tree. Overlooking the stables as a wolf appears, banging at stable doors while the pup and the wolf face off. A herd of horses approaches as the wolf turns tail. The man at a kitchen window with a stunned look as the pup, muddied and wet, leads the horses home. The pup licks at the man's face and the horse's head. Budweiser. Hashtag best buds. Enjoy responsibly.
Now we will say we did not get product placement money for that little advertisement.
What's that case of Bud behind you there, Jeff? What are you talking about? No, but imagine It's a wonderful soundtrack. The singing, the music they chose for it. But if you went through that whole minute, that's all you got with a few sound effects, a horse neighing, bark, a growl. What's going on?
Yeah.
Someone that's blind or has low vision had no idea. The description provides that. The visual is made verbal, basically.
That's a great name for your book. The visual is made verbal. And you've demonstrated, Joel, from the beginning. I love the fact that you read to blind students and that you recognized at a very one-on-one level the human need for sighted people to give of their time. And
Sure.
I don't know whether you were paid, but if you were, it was minimum wage.
No.
You weren't even paid.
Well, when I read talking books for the blind for the Library of Congress, they have an hourly rate, but that it was nominal.
But I mean, you're reading to college students.
Oh yeah, that's not paid.
So you were there from the beginning, and your book is available for people who are unable to attend your class, but you offer in-person classes where people are trained to become audio describers, so that they're trained in all the subtleties and the sensitivities that are required to do it properly.
No, that's right. We have been doing, golly, the American Council of the Blind. That's one of our projects, is the Audio Description Institute, and we've done 18 of them. Let's see, we did 17 of them live and in person, twice a year, and the last two have been virtual. So, but we're and I think the next one, which will be in early March of 2022, will most likely be virtual again. It's worked out pretty well that way, but next summer we're hoping we'll be live and in person with the American Council of the Blind's convention in Omaha, Nebraska. That'll be July of 2022.
Let's hope that by next year we're past this.
Oh yes. Yes.
But isn't it great that you can do your training virtually? We're just preparing to launch a workshop of our own, and the virtual element of it is just terrific.
Oh, it really provides opportunities that you don't have in person. So, it's not going to go away. Once COVID goes away, the virtual opportunities will still be there, and they'll be mixed. There'll be a hybridization, I think. But in the meantime, actually, I have done more work overseas in the last couple of months, I think, than ever before. And that's not even, I don't even count the virtual stuff in my, countries I've been to. But Monday through Friday next week, I'll be doing 5 4-hour sessions in the Philippines. So that means getting up early because they're 12 hours ahead of us. But
Well, Joel Snyder, the past master of audio description, we're so honored to have you on our show.
Oh, you've got a great show, Jeff.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Joel.
Absolutely.
We're doing something that no one else has touched, and we're really pleased that we've expanded it today to this world that no one knows better than you. Thanks again.
Thank you, Jeff.
I do want to interrupt here. At the credits at the end of the show, you're going to be able to see how to get in touch with Joel.
Oh, great.
And get his book and all the information that he shared with us as far as websites and things. Thank you again, Joel.
Once again, Joel,
thanks, Christy.
Give us your website.
Yeah,
Well, my website, Audio Description Associates, is my company, and that's simply audiodescribe.com. But the American Council of the Blind's Audio Description Project, simply go to adp.acb.org.
Cool. Thanks again.
Great. Thank you, Jeff.
People First Consciousness.
Okay.
Well, I am just in the process of getting my computer up.
Tell us what you're going to do, Jeff.
I'm going to. I am about to read an essay, as I do, and this essay is about audio description. And when I knew that Joel was going to be our guest, I decided that I really needed to write something that would address audio description. And I've been involved with audio description in many ways, but primarily as a user. And this essay talks about its power. So here we go. Now I get it. Accessibility is complicated. For those who use wheelchairs for mobility, all required specifications for access are detailed in the ADAG, Americans with Disabilities Act Accessibility Guidelines, although they are not. For those of us with sensory disabilities, a few simple rules apply. First, everything that is spoken should be presented in American Sign Language by a qualified interpreter, as well as open captioning wherever possible. Of course, I am speaking broadly across many possible settings. The ADAG specifies under what settings ASL is required. We produce a YouTube show, and we provide ASL as a courtesy, since we want our show's content to be available to our brothers and sisters who are deaf. YouTube provides open captioning 24 hours after our show's broadcast. However, ASL is not required, and I don't know of any other program, even on national networks, which voluntarily adds ASL. The second rule is that everything is presented visually should be audio described. Audio description is credited beginning to Margaret and Cody Ventile, although Chuck Avery began talking about it in the late 60s, and Gregory Fraser pursued it in the 70s. Audio description, or AD, opens a vast world of the visual and can offer wonderful details to make any experience come alive for those who can't see. In the real world, this is not required. It merely not difficult. It just requires telling someone who's low vision or blind about the visual wonder you perceive instantaneously with your eyes. It may also depend on the person with whom you're speaking. They may like a lot of detail. They may want you to focus on colors or people's faces, or they may not want you to describe anything at all. I've heard it said by more than one authority that over 90% of information is conveyed through the visual space. Sadly, the ADA is vague and not very helpful about audio description. However, in 2010, President Obama signed the Communications and Video Accessibility Act. While all TV and YouTube programs have open captioning, allowing anyone to read the text that's being spoken, the law requires only 50 hours of prime programming per calendar quarter for each channel to be described. An additional 37.5 hours anytime during the day is also required in 3 months. That's a laughably small number of hours of accessible programs for those of us with visual disabilities. But to be fair, most people who have been deaf from birth have English as a second language, and ASL is their primary language, so open captioning does not meet their needs either. Although this essay is about AD, I thought a view from 30,000 feet would be helpful to explain how audio description fits into the big picture of sensory disability access. I have a few stories from my own life experience which can make the power of audio description come alive most clearly. I'm a writer. In my case, I have applied this ability in many forms, including poetry, books, essays, song lyrics, and most importantly for this essay, theater pieces. I've composed music for a musical but did not write the theatrical content. I've collaborated with the playwright on the musical for which our music blended, and I've written a complete musical, including songs and the theatrical production. In all three cases, it was only when I heard the audio description provided by an audio describer that the show became most understandable to me. AD for live theater, movies, and television is a specialized skill. The describer drops critical visual elements into open spaces in a show's dialogue, and it must be timed exactly and never compete with the spoken content within the performance. An actor, director, writer, or poet might find it natural to create the short sentences for the audio description elements in a video recording or live show. For those interested in helping with making YouTube videos accessible through AD, a free program called UDescribe is available through ski.org. It offers anyone a chance to write descriptions for YouTube. Like Wikipedia, it's democratized AD for YouTube and will expand access for people like me. Professional training is available, but if a price barrier exists, an interested and articulate volunteer can study audio description and provide the service. Back to how AD works in live theater. If broadcast technology is available that allows it to hear services through a closed-circuit radio broadcast heard by audience members with visual or cognitive disabilities through a special receiver, which is distributed before the show and then collected afterwards by an organization such as a blindness agency or accessible arts volunteer organization. Several services are available to create and record audio description tracks for video or sound productions. I produced the first audio-described music animation in 2004. I wrote with my producer the audio description tracks and recorded it as a separate recording through the for music animation assistive technology boogie I created. I'll play for you at the end of the show, but I digress. I want to explain the power of AD to you. In 1986, I was on the board of Services for Independent Living, SIL, in Cleveland, Ohio. SIL was exploring using a musical theater piece produced by United Cerebral Palsy entitled Doin' the Reality Rag as a fundraiser. SIL could license the script for one sum of money and for a second, larger sum, license use of the original music. Funds were limited, and since this undertaking was a fundraiser, the board committee decided to license only the script, since I offered to write music for the show. I set to work and, over a month, wrote 2 entirely new songs and wrote new topical lyrics for 10 ragtime songs in the public domain, such as Ragtime Cowboy Joe. My thinking was to hire a pianist to play the music for the older songs and a music copyist who would transcribe the new songs for her and for the Dixieland Pit Band for opening night. I recorded separate cassette tapes for each cast member. I had several musical rehearsals with the cast and attended a few rehearsals that included both music and script. I thought I knew the show pretty well. The show raised over $40,000 for SIL. Following the opening night within the Ohio Theater, Cleveland's largest theater in restored Playhouse Square, Doing the Reality Rag ran for 6 weeks and over other community theaters, and I attended 3 shows. Audio description was a new concept in theater, and only the 3rd show, which I attended, offered audio description. Amazing. Now I understood the sight gags, the nonverbal action, and the things that were funny, the actor's craft that made the show come alive. Audio description had filled the empty breach where sight lives. AD had given me the critical information which everyone else automatically knew through the instantaneous magic of vision. Another example. In 1994, I collaborated with a playwright from the University of Arizona in Tucson concerning a play written by us for 3rd Street Kids, an inclusive theater program for young people with and without disabilities, for which I was musical director. I lived in Ohio and would fly to Tucson 6 weeks a year to write new songs with the group and perform with them regionally and internationally. We conducted a weekend workshop during which the troupe, with our direction, came up with the piece called Musical Reckless Grace. The playwright met with them in her absence and developed the script. Understanding the concept, I pulled a few songs from my extensive repertoire of original work for their use, and then wrote a few new songs in writing workshops with them. I attended a dress rehearsal, and then the grand opening, which was audio described. Once again, the show burst into my consciousness fully formed with all of the sight appearances on stage, facial appearances, and other subtle visual elements that made the show live and breathe. Without audio description, I would have been so much as blindfolded. A final example is most profound. In 1999, I finished work on an anti-bullying musical for schools entitled How Big Is Your Circle? I had written every actor's part, stage blocking, and even some suggestions of facial reactions. This show was produced in collaboration with the School of Fine Arts in Willoughby, Ohio. I worked with their teenage writing program. Their actors reviewed my script and made some critical suggestions that led to its rewrite and improvement. The show's score included vocal and string orchestra parts. All told, 60 young people were involved in the production, including actors and musicians. I attended the dress rehearsal and then the world premiere. I sat in the front row with my AD earpiece in my ear as my play was put on and it was later put on by many schools to overcome bullying and the exclusion, ridicule, and violence, which is all too commonplace against devalued students. Although I had written the show and even given stage directions, the director and actors had given Circle a life of its own. The actors inhabited their parts with their unique stage personalities, and the director had given her own touches to the show's development that I would never have considered. A few months later, I saw the show produced by Fort Lauderdale Children's Theater as an evening activity during a TASH international meeting. Wow! Once again, I was watching a whole new, unique performance, thanks to audio description, which gave my new musical something entirely new. In each of these cases, I might have sat as if blindfolded were it not for the brilliant interpretation of the trained volunteer who whispered visual elements through my AD earpiece. Thanks to modest progress through federal mandates and volunteering efforts, some movies are audio described in addition to some television programs on national networks, but far too few. Live theater, motion pictures, and regular television programs are always made better through audio description. While its benefit was conceived to assist those of us with visual disabilities, I'll bet that AD could also assist people with cognitive disabilities and learning disabilities, as well as elders who enjoy hearing the matters of consequence interpreted by the describer that they might miss due to modestly reduced vision. But so too are the most mundane aspects of daily living made better through AD. My wife will often tell me about what a waiter is wearing, or how a television host wears her hair, or the style of her eyeglasses. These little offerings bring in elements of the visual world to me so that I might more completely experience whatever we are doing or watching. In addition, she might tell me about the decor of a restaurant, the style of architecture of an historic building, or the nature of forest through which we are driving. What should be audio described? Anything and everything that brings to life interest, color, or zest to any experience whatsoever. Naturally, the companion to one who is blind would exhaust themselves if they audio described everything, but it should not be a chore. It is part of the informal social contract, so that blindness does not exclude one from the wonders in the life of the world of sight. Give it a try. You will improve your powers of observation, increase your vocabulary, and learn to articulate the very things that give you pleasure through observation. Thanks.
Instrument Corner.
Well, I'm sorry, I was racing through that.
Well, you know what? You did a good job. You're kind of right on time.
My motor mouth was, yeah.
And I have to say, you were practicing that under earphones, and so this was all new to me. That was a wonderful essay.
Oh,
Thank
thanks,
you so
honey.
much.
Thank you.
And that's going to be the blog too,
Yes,
right? It'll be
that's
on
right.
the website.
Any of you who wonder about my motor mouth and the things you miss, you can read what I've written on the blog on my website. The week after I read it, it goes right into the blog as the next offering.
Right. So that's great to know, because you were really racing along there.
I was, and I know I missed some words, but oh well. The thing is about this technology, you can't stop on a dime. If you stop and reread, it'll go back and start at the paragraph.
Oh, no.
So it would be too much repetition.
That would be hard.
Yeah.
Now, it seems to me you promised us some kind of a something.
I did.
In this instrument corner.
This is going to be a different kind of instrument corner.
Oh, okay.
You know, as Joel was saying, audio description is a new thing. And in about 2002, I was approached by an old friend named Jim Tobias of, then his website was inclusive.com. I don't think that's up anymore. But Jim Tobias, I'm sure you can find him online. He said, you know, I provide services that make assistive technology work in people's lives. He's a rehabilitation engineer, so he configures what the solution is for people with disabilities through technology. But he said, your song, Assistive Technology Boogie, let's produce that as a music animation. I said, terrific. Let's do that. So Hike Hoisington, who had just finished doing the animation for the National Democratic Party's website, got involved as the animator. And he animated my song, and then we set to work making it accessible. So this was before audio description was available, as Joel was saying, instantaneously. Yes. So we got the words put in so that they're readable, and I was not thinking about ASL at the time. I should have, but I did think about audio description, and there had never been a music animation described before. So I said, so Jim, I want to get audio description engaged in this. So I got the song and the animation, and I sat down with my audio producer, Frank Vale at MetroSync Studios in Cleveland, and I wrote the animation, I wrote the description rather, with Jim helping me. Now, he thought that was the important thing about this element. And then I recorded it. So I basically wrote it and recorded it in dropping it into the gaps in the sound studio. You can do that, of course.
Sounds very complicated.
It was very complicated. and fast. You talk about fast.
Yeah. So
what we're going to hear, unfortunately, we could not find a copy of Assistive Technology Boogie with audio description. There's a copy of it online. If you want to see it, just look for Assistive Technology Boogie on YouTube, and you'll get it without audio description. But what we're going to listen to now is as if all of you are blind. So close your eyes, sit back, and listen to the award-winning, the first music animation with voice output, or with audio description, and at Superfest 25, a disability film festival, it won Best in Access and Best for Audience. So here we go. Let's listen and get engaged with just your ears to the musical animation Assistive Technology Boogie.
This is the audio-described version of Assistive Technology Boogie. The animation depicts a smiling, cereal box-sized piece of assistive technology, which will be referred to as AT. AT changes or morphs into various shapes and functional uses throughout the animation. Close-up of hands playing piano keyboard.
Set the price
Image of cash register.
so I can buy
Figure
it.
pushes button.
Give me places where I can really try it.
Person holding smiling abstract AT.
I want choices like my sisters and brothers.
Shelves of electronics.
I want to choose one from the other.
Person pulls different abstract AT from shelf.
Give me time to review it.
Person checks off list.
Let me talk to other folks who have used it.
Two people talk about their same smiling ATs.
Build it elegant and clean, a functional machine, sweet, sweet, assistive technology.
AT leaps off a table and transforms into a piano.
Technology, technology, I'll tell you what it means to me. Technology, technology, It's my key to being free.
Two scenes where AT gives voice to child's thoughts, allowing you to interact with others.
Give me teachers who can teach me.
People at a table.
When I'm ready to reach, let me reach.
One person explains AT, gesturing at illustration.
I want it to work first thing in the morning.
Person sleeping in bed.
I never break down without warning.
AT as alarm clock wakes up person.
I'll build it durable and flexible and friendly.
AT
Make it rugged, tough, and sexy. Make it trendy.
AT becomes home stereo, back to original.
And if you want to know how it should be,
AT bounces to feed a puzzled scientist.
why don't you just ask me? Sweet, sweet, assistive technology.
User shakes AT to remote control. Scientists understand.
Technology, I'll tell you what it means to me. Technology, it's my key to being free.
AT magnifies computer screen for users with low vision.
It lets me roll, slip, ripple, and
Glide
glide.
by AT.
Voice the feelings that I'm holding inside.
AT becomes communication.
Well, it's my access to the printed
AT
page
produces braille blueprints.
and my key to electronic
AT is a
age.
computer station linked to other computer stations.
Well, it's the way that I can reach and
AT
stand.
elevates seated user.
My eyes, my ears, my legs, and my hands.
AT grows functional
It's my
parts.
key to the highway so
AT moves
wide.
into a key.
Oh, it's my ace, my ticket to ride.
AT transforms into a car as it drives down the road and off screen.
Technology, I'll tell you what it means to me. Technology, it's my key to being free. Sweet, sweet, assistive technology.
AT provides visual captioning for television broadcast and stage performance. Closing shot, AT singing on stage.
And you know, I think...
Concept and development. Jim Tamaya.
Here come the credits.
Oh, the credits?
This is the audio-described version of Assistive Technology Boogie. The animation depicts a smiling, cereal box-sized piece of assistive technology, which will be referred to as AT.
So we'll need
AT changes or morphs into various shapes and functional uses throughout the animation.
Okay.
We're back. Now, was that a public service announcement also?
Yeah, the song was also a public service announcement that ran in Ohio for years. My sister lived in Cincinnati at the time, and she said she would see that on television all the time.
Very cool.
So it's made the rounds.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful.
Were you able to well, of course, you had your earpiece in.
That's right.
We can't hear, the way this technology works, we can't hear it while it's going live. I could hear it because I was over here in Christie's earpiece. But could it make sense?
I thought it was very easily understood.
Good.
I followed your directions. I had my eyes closed. So yes, that was great.
Thank you, baby.
Now, are we ready now to talk about our new
I
the show?
think
that's
we
coming
are.
up? Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Do you want me to just kind of turn it over to you and because
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I know enough.
All right, excellent. Just tell us from the beginning how this all happened.
I will.
About a week ago, right?
It was just a few days ago.
A few days ago.
Yep. I got an email from a friend named Terry Hartman Squire, who runs an outfit called Lights, Camera, Access. And she is all involved with the promotion of people with disabilities into the mainstream world of media. So she's very woven into the world of media, as Joel Snyder is. And she said that she had a request, could we fit a media contact of hers in as a guest in the next show?
Yes. And
we were baffled. We thought, well, we already have a guest lined up for the next show. Sorry, Dr. Carroll, we will fit you in down in a few weeks. But I said, well, tell me more. And she said, well, write me this is all hurry up. Send me a paragraph about the show. So I quickly wrote a paragraph about the show. And then she got back to me and she said, okay, the American Masters series on PBS on the 19th of October is doing a show called Becoming Helen Keller. It's about exploding the myths about Helen Keller as that 7-year-old girl discovering water and the sign for water, and about what she did to change the world as the great advocate that she was. So our next show, the guest is going to be yet to be named, but someone from the American Masters series from PBS. And now I'm going to stop and do the promo so we can clip it and use it on the website for the next show. Here we go. Please join us for our next show, which is going to be about Helen Keller as a large construct. Our special guest is going to be, as of yet, an unknown person, but someone from the American Masters series who will be producing Becoming Helen Keller on October 19th on PBS stations. And we'll be talking to them about this wonderful new movie that really tells the true story of Helen Keller, who is genuinely my great hero of all times. So, Helen Keller, Becoming Helen Keller, the PBS American Masters series. Join us for our next show. You'll be learning a lot about it that you didn't know, as will we. So, know that if you help to contribute to interpreting the great world of vision into the spoken for people with visual disabilities that you might come in contact with, you will be adding to the world more peace, sweet peace. Join us for our next show.
Don't miss it.
Please join us.
And share.
Oh, yes. Please share us, like us, do all those things that I always forget to mention. There, I did it.
You did it.
Okay. Please, see you then. Thanks.